Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Yesterday's video was long. It was a bunch of different lessons that I learned through studying and reading A Course in Miracles, and today's topic is the topic of forgiveness. Now, prior to even starting this book, forgiveness was a really resistant and hard topic for me to even practice. I know a lot of us, the way we see forgiveness is letting go of these wrongdoings and letting go of all the hardships we've gone through, and like accepting the fact that we've been done wrong and then still forgiving the person for the things that might have been done to us and that we might have done to them. And I know personally, forgiving myself was also one of the hardest things to do, even though I preach so much of it. And every time a friend of mine would come and say I've done horrible things, the number one thing I would say is forgive yourself, let go of what you've done. And it's a lot easier said than done when you have the traditional mindset of it. Now today I am going to share with you a new way of seeing the word and the practice of forgiveness, something that is going to help you totally let go of everything you thought happened to you in your life, and honestly just let go and be okay with all of it. And I know some people have been done wrong in their lives. They've been hurt by so many people, and they have a hard time forgiving themselves, forgiving their parents, forgiving their friends, forgiving the people who have done them wrong, whatever. I don't want to get too deep into the like abusive part of it, but you know, that kind of stuff too. And when I present to you the topic that I've been learning and that I think I understand now and can officially put into practice, I really do think a lot of people will be able to approach the topic of forgiveness with a much more open heart and ultimately be able to forgive the things that happened to them and really move on with your life. So let's begin like this. Say something really bad happened to you in your life, okay? You were hurt by somebody or somebody did you wrong. I know, like, my grandparents tell me these stories almost every single day. Oh, that person did me wrong, or I was hurt by that person. Or you can see people who are still very tense in their life because of old events that happened that really hurt them and that betrayed the trust of the people, by the people they loved or from the people they love. There's people who live in constant self-hatred because of things they did in the past. And I want to introduce a new way of thinking about forgiveness, because the truth is we all deserve to let go of the past, to let go of the things that we think happened to us, and to really start living fresh from a place that is unattached from these things. And I know when the degree of hurt or betrayal or abuse is so severe, you really just can't forgive, and so you carry that energy with you throughout your life, and it takes a toll on you. It doesn't take a toll on the person, and none of it ever fully gets solved. Okay, so when I started this book, the first topic I learned in A Course of Miracles is the topic of forgiveness. And the topic of forgiveness that they brought up was admitting to yourself that everything you thought happened to you was wrong. I know, right? And so by forgiving, really what you're doing is undoing. And by undoing, what you're doing is freeing yourself. And when you forgive, what you're really doing is admitting to yourself that everything you thought happened to you was according to your perception. And most, like 99.9 to the power of 90 million % of the time, you are wrong about what actually happened to you. So it's funny the way perception works. Perception is this false veil of what we think is happening. It takes a completely neutral experience or event and turns it into something it wasn't. Everybody has their own perception. And therefore, when two people or more come into an experience and one person does this and the other person does this, both of them have their own perception of what actually happened, and if you were raised with these shitty beliefs, or you were raised with a pre-resentment to another person or whatever, you go into this experience and you do not have a fully neutral perspective of what is going down in this experience. So say person A does something, person B feels hurt about it, person B goes the rest of their life thinking that person A did this to them for malicious reasons, and then you can't heal from that, you can't forgive them, you resent them, you go the rest of your life being angry and carrying that shitty energy. And when you choose to forgive, in traditional standpoint, you are choosing to accept what happened, choosing to let go of the wrongdoings, but you still believe that that wrongdoing was done to you. And it wasn't, because that was your perception at the time of the event. And so by forgiving in this new, more expansive and real way, I guess, you're accepting the fact that what you chose to identify with on that day of said event was wrong. It was false. It was entirely perceptive. It was entirely distorted from the true intention and meaning of that day's event. And by now realizing that what you saw and what you perceived that day was false to begin with, you are undoing every single belief, you are undoing every single emotion and anger and thought and perception that you identified with since that event. So, say for example, somebody breaks your heart. Okay, you think that person didn't love you, you think you are now unlovable, you think they cheated on you, you think they that other person that they did something with was better than you, and so you go the rest of your life hating whatever, hating that person, you hate the person they were involved with, and now you think you're not good compared to other people. Whoa, like really? How crazy does that sound? And then you try to forgive this person, okay? You try to forgive them for said negative events and for all the shit that happened in the past, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna leave the past in the past. But you still believe that what happened happened. And in truth, that's not what happened. Okay, there are so many other factors that come into play when developing an actual experience, and especially in a relationship or in a financial matter or in a family matter, things are very easily misperceived and misinterpreted. And so forgiveness is admitting to yourself and letting go of everything you misinterpreted. And that to me takes a lot more courage and strength than to simply go the rest of your life admitting you were the one that was done wrong and accepting that the past is the past and it's okay that person didn't know what they were doing or whatever, when the truth is you didn't know what you were thinking and you latched on to this perception of the experience that later hurt you so much more. And now you are ready to forgive. And forgiving means that you are ready to completely let go of everything you thought happened that day and everything you thought happened your entire life, okay? And forgiving yourself, that one is even harder. Forgiving yourself comes with a feeling of accepting that you couldn't have known better, and that sometimes you latch on to beliefs and perceptions that don't serve you, and by forgiving yourself, you are setting that free. You are saying, I had no idea what I was doing, what I was thinking, why I held on to these negative beliefs, or why I held on to this perception or interpretation of an event, and you're undoing all of that, okay? And I know it's difficult to admit sometimes because we have so many other beliefs that support the fact that this experience might have gone down a certain way. But the true freedom and the true letting go and true forgiveness comes from realizing that what you took out of that event, what you interpreted out of an experience or a conversation or whatever, it was entirely your decision to see it that way. And if it brings you pain, what better way to release that pain and to release the burden of that experience than to realize you were wrong about interpreting it in the first place? There's a lot more I still have to learn and put into practice about these things. I did write a blog post for you guys to read because I am better at sorting and organizing my words in written form, so that they are as simple and easy to read as possible. Head down to the link in the description below and you can read that. But ultimately, the point of forgiveness is to undo everything you thought happened, and to undo everything you believe happened, to unbelieve everything you believe happened in your life. And most people have a lot of forgiving to do, especially towards themselves. I know so many of us think we have people to forgive, but we have ourselves to forgive the most, because we are the ones that held on to these beliefs that were so disempowering. And then so through forgiveness, you are admitting to yourself. You are okay with admitting that you were wrong about what you think happened on a certain day or at a certain event. And I get it. Some people were actually really hurt. But if it means going the rest of your life identifying with a certain version of your life or a certain version of you, as opposed to seeing the great picture, the most loving and connected, creative form of yourself, which one would you rather pick? Would you rather hold on to this wretched, distorted, horrible life where only bad things happen to you and that is who you are and that is who everybody else is? Or would you rather forgive, completely let go of everything you think happened to you in your life, undo all the beliefs, undo every perception you had of an event, start letting go of what you think is happening at the time of experiences from this moment forward, and undoing all of the identification you did with everything that happened to you in your life, so that you may live a life of freedom, a life of happiness, a life that sees love instead of hate, and a life that sees good things instead of fearful events. Okay? So I hope you guys like this video. I hope it, as much talking and going on as there is in this video, that you took the points that were important to you, and that you see that most of what we think happens in our life doesn't actually happen. Everything that unfolds is entirely neutral, and we are the ones that attach meaning to it. If we choose to attach a negative meaning, this is the perfect opportunity to forgive, to realize that we are the ones that were in charge of defining that moment, and sometimes we don't define it the most loving way possible. And if you guys thought I only had one cat, I've got two. And ultimately, we want to start seeing life from a positive and more refreshing perspective, from a point of view that things are good and people are good, and that comes with a lot of forgiveness, a lot of seeing things as they are and not as we are. And yes, so I hope you guys will come back to our channel soon and watch more of my videos. And if you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to comment, type it in below. Hit that subscribe button right here, and we'll see you soon.